What's up, YouTube? This is my DCEU ranking video. Now, I know if it was a little early since we only have a total of, what is it? I believe four movies? Yeah, four movies for the DCU in total, so this may seem kind of early, but I did want to address it for anybody who's curious. And by the end of this year, we have a total of five, so of course I'll probably release an updated version, obviously. And Justice League will probably be a very big impact on this whole thing. However, I just thought it'd be fun because I didn't post my review of Suicide Squad. I haven't talked about Man of Steel in a very long time. So this is my review of the franchise as a whole, at least just as far as rankings, so this will be really quick. So out of the four we have so far, and I believe I've seen all of them enough times to know. So number four on the list would probably be Suicide Squad. And Suicide Squad is a movie I really enjoyed. It's a really fun movie, but I judge movies on a way that's saying, there's a level of, I didn't really care for them. Well, of course, the very bottom is I despise them. Then there's the next level, which is kind of forgettable. And then there's a level that there's a lot I liked, but for me, there's some things I would have changed about the movie, but overall I enjoyed it. And then there's good, and then there's just incredible, and then there's beyond. And Suicide Squad comes in at that range where I really enjoyed it, but there were things that would have changed. And those things are, fairly minor. Well, minor in a sense, I guess you say. Like, I think of all the DCEU villains so far, I definitely would put Enchantress at the bottom of the totem pole because there wasn't too much going on with her. Her being part, human, part entity from another universe or another dimension, whatever, is an interesting thing, but it just was not explored enough. Compared to people like Lex Luthor and General Zod, she obviously just pales in comparison. I hate to be that guy, but she was definitely more of a Marvel MCU level villain. Really, kind of just there, and kind of problems needs to be dealt with. So that was a weak aspect of the movie, but the villain, it did the job. Is what I will say. Not necessarily bad, but very plain. And then everything else with the movie I thought was fairly good. I thought the action scenes were great. A lot of characters. Some of them I wish they showed us a little bit more, which is why I thought the director's cut. I enjoyed it, but I thought it should have been longer, since I wanted to see more of character backstory of like maybe Katana, maybe a little more Killer Croc. Definitely a little more Boomerang because he was kind of a blank slate. Although he's very funny, I enjoyed his character. He has some of the best lines. As a whole, we don't know too much about him. But I can't believe he had a lot of characters. And I don't think I'm going to backstory every single last one of them super in depth. But yeah, that was a movie that, overall I enjoyed it, but I thought they could have done more with the material, just a little bit more. But I'm still very much looking forward to Suicide Squad 2. Oh yeah, they're supposed to my opinion on the Joker in that movie. Uh, I think it was really good. And I think it's kind of hard to judge if he was better than, Jack Nicholson or Heath Ledger by how much we were given. So he wasn't the main focus of the movie, which some people have definitely viewed as another problem. And honestly, yeah, Joker probably would have been a much more interesting villain as the central one. But I'm not gonna judge it for that because that is a very interesting movie to think of, though. That is very interesting. But all that being said, Suicide Squad, that's how I view it, and that's why I would rank on the bottom of the DCU uh, totem pole. Next for me is a really hard the midsection. And a number three spot, I would really have to go with Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman was a really, really, really good movie. And this part, I will say spoilers, minor spoilers. So I'm going to repeat one more time, spoilers. I'll put it in the description so everybody knows. But the only thing Wonder Woman that stopped me from putting it higher on the list, it's a very short list. I'm pretty sure in the future Wonder Woman will still remain very high. The only reason why I will put it just a little bit lower as like Cause I see the way the movie was made. You know, the whole main goal was to keep Ares hidden because we weren't sure if he was going to be a myth or not at times. Because the whole movie was about Diana being very naive about the real world, and so for a while there, you're kind of doubting if there even is an Ares, a real life one. But when you finally see him, it's a great reveal. It's fantastic, at least a fantastic battle. It's just that compared to like Luther and Zod, those characters pretty much permeated their movies from beginning to end. Their only big reveals were their plans, basically. But you got enough of them that you felt like you knew them pretty well by the end of the movie. And Ares, the same thing. I do feel I really understood his motivations. I really do, and I love the performance of the character, the look of the character. His action scenes are great. I have this thing in the back of my head wishing, man, I wish I'd seen more of him in action. And the whole thing is, yes, I get it that they're going for the big reveal, and I thought it worked great the way it was done. But there is in the back of my mind, I wish there was a more alternative version where he was there from start to finish. We saw him all throughout the whole thing. Of course, that would kind of ruin the reveal aspect, would not work at all in the way I envision it in my head. So I'm definitely not taking away from what they did, but just in the back of my mind, I wish there was a version like that. And I'm really hoping we see more of Ares in future films, hopefully. Maybe, I don't know, more crossovers. Maybe he's going to be in a Justice League sequel. Maybe, Wonder Woman, they already confirmed they're making a sequel, so maybe he'll be around in that movie, or they just move on to an entirely new villain. I don't know. But putting it short, I just wish we had more Ares because he was freaking awesome. Okay, and then so moving on to number two spot, Man of Steel. Man of Steel was the first movie in the DCU. It is one of the movies I saw in theaters the most because it was such a good movie. Uh, for me, to me, the best Superman. And people might hate me for this, but to me, the best Superman, as far as I was concerned, was the one from the DC animated universe. I love that Superman. I love the original films. I thought they were really good. Well, at least the first two, anyways. And then Superman Returns, I thought was okay, not bad at all, but not as good as it could have been. And Superman was a character I was like, I know I prefer Batman. I think he's more realistic, he's more grounded. Really, don't you can see his challenge, what's really challenging for Superman. And then Man of Steel came out, and I was like, okay, wow, I see this character in a whole nother way now. It just gave me a whole new level of respect for him because it presented Superman in a very real world, and you got to see his struggle of growing up with his powers, and it was done in a way that hasn't really been done before, at least on film. I'm not sure. I haven't read too many Superman comics, honestly. I'm barely trying to get into them, but that way they handled Superman's origin was to me was just great. The struggle, and it may have been a little dark for some people, I guess, at certain points, but the movie was also very hopeful, and it was just aiming to be realistic. I thought they did a fantastic job with that. And a little on with the old mythos, I think everything else is really great. I love how they delved into the Kryptonian world a whole lot. I loved all the cast choices between Lawrence Fishburne and Amy Adams. I loved General Zod. You really felt for him. It was hard to even say he was a bad guy because he really wanted the best for his people, but he just got the short end of the stick. And ultimately, unfortunately, his way was in the way of, it was just a danger to everybody around him, so eventually he had to be put down. But it was really sad watching him go. Michael Shannon did a great job as Zod. To me, I want to say he's still my favorite villain in DCEU. It's very hard, but yeah, overall the movie to me just landed on all marks. It looks great. The fight scenes were fantastic. The music was amazing. Everything looks great. The themes are. It makes you really think about the choice between was it nature versus nurture? That whole thing comes up. How society should work. Should people be born into roles? Should they decide for themselves? There's a whole lot of philosophy and debate you could do with a movie like that. It really leads to the best movies to me are the ones that you're still thinking about it when you leave because the questions it raises. The only reason why this movie is detractor for me really at all. It's only because I mean it's really hard to say honestly. I mean because a lot of things I enjoyed. The only thing I guess slightly bothered me, not really bothered me. That's the reason why I put it at number two instead of number one was probably just the very last ending moment. Although after all the stuff that had happened, I know we needed to cool down. That last shot of Clark at the office, I just wish they'd shown maybe Superman one more time or something, or show a little more of the impact of all the stuff that had happened. But I understand that we needed to cool down after all the action. Action had been going on for quite some time, and Batman Superman definitely touched on all the concepts of what that Kryptonian battle caused for Earth in that one day, which is why moving on to, of course, number one, Batman vs Superman. And the reason why I put this movie at number one because man, it explores the ideas behind Batman and Superman so very well and kind of deconstructs them before putting them back together. And the thing, once again, just like Snyder has a really talent for this, he puts them in the real world. People always seem to confuse that Superman is not. He's still Superman, very much so in these both Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman. The only thing is, he's in the real world, which is yes, I hate to break it to you, but yes, it is very cynical at times, and people are always analyzing what things mean all the time. And as people have said before me countless times, there's like people like the Marvel movies because for the most part they kind of exist in their own little world where things happen and you don't really feel the impact of it too much. Honestly, I mean, characters kind of exist in their own little world, just revolving around them. But Man of Steel and Batman, you see the impact that it has because people like someone like Superman arriving on Earth would change the very fabric of how we look at things, between our notions of God and evolution, all that stuff. It would change by when we see the Man of Steel because it just would be so perplexing, and we have a little almost like God on Earth, basically. And this movie explores that very well. There's a lot of times in movies you watch and you're like, I wish they had done more with that concept because that was really cool. I thought that was great. They should have developed more on that. This movie, to me, I was like, wow, they really nailed that. The whole concept of how Superman fit into our society. And the good thing is, the movie does show he's not all powerful, so he has to make a choice. And I thought that angle was done very well. Batman's story was very complex, definitely a deconstruction of the character. I gotta admit, when I first saw it the very first time, a lot of the moments were kind of jarring to me at first. Like, whoa, did he just kill someone? That wasn't in the trailer. But you know what? I saw it again and again, I was like, okay, you know what? To me, for multiple reasons, I can get behind this. One, because both in the Nolan verse and Tim Burton movies, Batman killed, and no one really addressed it at the time, especially not in the Keaton movies. In Nolan verse, Batman killed, technically speaking, a few times. They just didn't really address it. But that's a whole other thing. The point of the matter is simply being that I thought Batman was deconstructed here, but he was put together again. He became himself at the very end, and I thought it was just wonderful. Put together, not to mention everything looks fantastic, but the characters' morals and their strengths and weaknesses are explored very, very well. Of course, we have Gal Gadot's debut as Wonder Woman as well. That was handled pretty damn well. And I must say, I liked this movie a lot when I first saw it in theaters. But the thing that really pushed it number one for me was when I saw the ultimate cut. I was like, wow, this is fantastic. They delved into it more. To this day, I cannot go back to the theatrical version. Even though I liked it, I saw it like 3 times. I cannot go back to it after seeing the ultimate cut. And the ultimate cut really sets the bar high for the DCEU because it makes you think so much. And while still giving you great action, everything looks great. Everything looks great. So I'm glad there's no complaint I can say about the costume design and the looks of these films. They look fantastic. I love how each director gives their own flair to them. And so far, Zack Snyder is my favorite among them. Of course, we have 3 so far. But in the future, we'll see more with Aquaman and everything else that's being made. So that's my DCU ranking. I would like to very much stick to that until Justice League comes out. And then we'll see. Will Batman vs Superman be toppled by Justice League? Will Zack Snyder keep exploring more themes, or will it be a simple action movie? Knowing Zack Snyder, I think he's still going to explore plenty of themes in Justice League. Will it have more action than Batman vs Superman? Probably, because the nature of the story in general, with that many heroes and that many villains, probably will have more action. But I still think it's going to delve into a lot of things for the movie, especially since I hear, it's talking about Batman's redemption, Flash's backstory with his father, Cyborg's whole. I can tell that's going to be a really interesting story arc. But yeah. Anyways, I'm making it too long. But yeah, that's my current ranking of the DCU. Tell me your listing of the DCU. I'd like to know which is your favorite, especially if you've seen Wonder Woman so far. Tell me how you think it compares to the rest of them. A lot of people are saying that Wonder Woman saved, quote unquote, the the DCU. I don't think so. I think it was going pretty strong before that. But yes, the critics didn't hammer this one down or whatever. That's fine and dandy. I didn't really care if they liked it or not. I was going to see it regardless. However, tell me if you think Wonder Woman's on top. Do you think Man of Steel was better than Batman Superman? A lot of people seem to think. Or do you like Suicide Squad the most? I know some people who even look at it that way. Go ahead and let me know in the comments.